No, you're good. Just come up a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Hey, signal station. That's enough. So with the statistics so high, presidential debates are just moments where you get the entire news division keeping on everything, fact checking on the live blog, all the way down to right here, debating now, just 10 seconds away, we will be back with our legislative bill.
Welcome to Total.
Good evening, we are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's start. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters for TV is their number one issue. That is the economy and cost of living in this country. Vice President, there are assuming President Trump or like the former system, and your opponent on the stage often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised in the middle class, and I'm actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is lifting up the middle class of the people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, and dreams of the American people, and that is why I imagine and have actually planned to build what I call an opportunity fund. Because here's the thing, we know that we have a shortage of homes and houses. And cost housing is too expensive for our community. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax cut that we've given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a kid, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We called her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion from America's deficit. My opponent has plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for their earnings.
President Trump.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done in the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. There's going to be billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they had to take the tariff off because there was so much money they gained. They were totally destroying everything that they set out to do. They're taking billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, they had tariffs and they had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster, it breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have never seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60%, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons to jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions to the different very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
The argument is immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like the Vice President Harris to respond on that.
Well, I'd love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell y'all,
I'm going to work.
What did he say? Was he getting it?
So there's, and I think Tim Scott is coming. Hey, go ahead. There's Vivek.
Sure. Look, I think if they debate again, which is fine, you're just going to hear Kamala Harris dodging more of the questions that she dodged all night long. Kamala Harris couldn't answer a simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? She couldn't answer a simple question about what their plan to stop inflation would be. She couldn't answer a simple question about what she would do to secure the border. Time and time again, Kamala Harris had no answer but dodges. So if they debate again, which they might, you'll simply hear these same dodges, or for that matter, you'll hear the lies that Kamala Harris is telling. She still believes in a fracking ban. She still believes in an electric vehicle mandate. She's not flip-flopped. She's not changed her position. She is simply lying to try to win an election. That's exactly what her surrogate, Bernie Sanders, said just this weekend. I think Trump did a great job of outlining what we all know is his record. Again, this is a very unusual presidential campaign. Both candidates have been in the White House. For the first time in 100 years, we have a candidate who has a record as president. And that record was stable prices, higher wages, a secure border, and a peaceful, stable world. With Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, everything has gone to hell. Prices are at record highs, wages are stagnant, the border is wide open, illegal immigrants are flooding our country, and we have war breaking out all around the world.
On Fox News, Brit Hume. On Fox News, Brit Hume just said, let's face it. You're live. Trump had a bad night. Do you disagree?
Well, I haven't seen any of the other commentary. I think President Trump laid out a clear contrast between his record as president and Kamala Harris's failed record as the vice president. What Kamala Harris couldn't do. Remember, time after time, she could not answer simple questions. Are people better off now than they were 4 years ago? No. Will you support any restrictions on abortion at all in months 7, 8, or even 9? No. Why? Because people aren't better off. Because she does have a radical position on abortion. Because they have no plan to address inflation. They have no plan to close and secure our border. On issue after issue, Kamala Harris either dodged the question or she told lies. And President Trump pointed it out.
Let's go.
I think any voters who are watching this tonight believe that.
You know him well. Was he
And unfortunately, there wasn't enough focus on immigration, which is a terrible thing for this country right now. Our illegal immigration situation is a disaster, and Kamala Harris was the border czar. This was her one job with Joe Biden, and she has failed. She's epically failed. And unfortunately, she's not been able to explain to us why you've had so many people come over. What her plan would be.
Was he rattled tonight, do you think? Fox News, Brit Hume said, let's face it, Trump had a bad night. Do you agree, disagree?
Well, look, I think it's what we expected. I think it was a bit of a 3-on-1 situation. Certainly, they backed up Kamala Harris from the moderator's standpoint. But she went up there and did exactly what Joe Biden did in 2020. She said things to the American people we know are not true. She lied to the American people. She's not able to do the things that she said she's going to do because she hasn't even explained them.
You don't sound like you think Donald Trump had a good night. Hey, Laura,
I think he had a night that we expected to see, which is that Donald Trump was 4 years in the White House. We all remember how our lives were then. Kamala Harris has been in for 4 years, and I think the question really is, why hasn't she done any of the things that she says she wants to do? Why hasn't she brought down inflation? Why hasn't she closed the border?
But surely
Why
you wasn't
hasn't
trying to get to another
she been
interview.
able to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict? Why did we see Israel?
Surely you wanted to come here and say that Donald Trump had a great night.
I think he had a fine night. I think
fine
that this
night.
was a night that was absolutely necessary, and I am so happy we finally got to see these two people on a stage. I wish we had 2 more debates. We usually have 3 presidential debates. Kamala Harris has said she only wants 1 so far. Donald Trump would certainly be willing to do another
Laura,
debate.
David Brody here, real quick. What's your message to ABC News about how they, the questions today?
I think it was rather unfortunate that it felt like that it was an attack session on Donald Trump. I think he had a lot of great points, a lot of great things to say. He had to hold Kamala Harris accountable because unfortunately it didn't feel like they did a whole lot of that.
Donald Trump, how do you think
necessary for the American people to see? I do feel like it was a bit of a 3-on-1 debate. I feel like it was the moderators and Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. But he was able to remind the American people that Kamala Harris has been in the White House for 4 years alongside Joe Biden. And unfortunately for the American people in the world, she hasn't done any of the things she said she would be able to do. The idea that she would be able to accomplish anything with 4 more years in the White House is absolutely ludicrous. It would be a disaster for this country and a disaster for the world.
Is Donald Trump going to keep the Affordable Care Act?
What's that?
Is he going to keep the Affordable Care
Well, I
Act?
think we heard him tonight. He said if there was a better plan that was in place, he would be very
But he
willing
won't.
to
He
accept
won't.
that.
He won't kill the Affordable Care Act until that comes
I
up.
don't believe you heard that from him tonight, that he's willing
we
to do
did
that.
not.
No.
What about the
What about the minimum wage?
What was that?
Well, there have been a lot of issues in this country based on illegal immigration, and because of that, people are suffering. And one of the places they're suffering is in Ohio. Now, to what extent, I'm not totally sure, but that is a story that a lot of people have been talking about.
Laura, what about the minimum wage?
All right, good. I did it in.
JD Vance?
I don't know. I can't. Hi. So what do you think? A lot of people are very happy with Vice President Harris' performance. Tell us what you think.
I thought she did exactly what she needed to do, which was show the American people that she has a plan to move forward. She reached out and talked to American people that she cared about them, and she clearly was the winner of this debate. Donald Trump just started spiraling downhill as soon as we got to the Roe v. Wade decision, and it just got worse and worse as the debate went on for him.
Senator, do you think this was enough to sway those alleged undecided voters?
Definitely. I thought that she did exactly what she needed to do. They care about what are we going to do for them. She has made it clear that she's going to be a president for the entire United States, for all of America, not just for somebody in the past. You know, Donald Trump was just focused on whether or not he'd won the last election. That's all the Americans want. They want to know who's going to support them, who's going to work for them. And she made that message very clear, that she's got a plan and she's going to be president for all Americans. And she clearly won the debate tonight.
Do you think this is the last debate? Do you think there'll be more?
I hope that there's another one come October. I will encourage her to pursue another one. But if I were Donald Trump's team, I wouldn't have put him up on against her again.
Senator, do you think a lot of people know a lot more about the vice president now than they did before?
Oh, I think so. I think she was very clear, plan after plan that she put into place, whether it was a tax credit for entrepreneurs, whether it was a tax credit for people who want to buy their first home, whether it was about making sure that we expand health care for all Americans in terms of bringing down the cost of prescription drug medication. Donald Trump had no plan. It was clear he had no plan. His only plan was Project 2025, and even that he wasn't sure about. And so, you know, I think that she made the case for the American people. I think they know more about her now, and they know that she's going to be a president for all Americans. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Wide open, and it's caused higher prices for American citizens. I want to hear about Kamala Harris's record of achievement. Unfortunately, it's so thin and all she has to talk about his biases. I think the American people are smart enough to see right through it.
Senator, what's the biggest mistake that Vice President Harris made tonight? What issue did she make a mistake on? You're talking about her record.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Kamala Harris made a lot of mistakes tonight. But again, I go back to what I said earlier, which is that there was no real substance. Listen to Kamala Harris talk for 90 minutes, you would hear a person talking as if she weren't the sitting vice president of the United States of America. She is in office now and has been for 3.5 years. It's her policy that caused these problems. It is her policy that caused higher inflation. It's her policy that caused the wide open southern border. If Kamala Harris wants to fix these problems, she should do it right now with the job the American people gave her, not ask for a promotion so that she can fail even more.
Immigrants are eating their dogs, their cats. It was mentioned by Trump on national television. Do you truly believe those claims?
Well, we just actually heard a 911 call from a citizen in Springfield earlier today that some of the immigrants in Springfield were capturing geese at the local pond, slaughtering them and killing them. Well, I mean, look, I don't know what are the full spate of animals that are being consumed there in Springfield, but I know the geese are certainly among them. And we've heard reports from a number of constituents on the ground that they have had pets abducted by some of the immigrants there. We're, of course, looking into this stuff. But look, the fundamental issue here is whether they were eating geese or dogs. Is that really what we're going to hang our hat on? The problem is that this small town in Ohio has been flooded with 20,000 migrants thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Now people can't afford basic goods, they can't afford food, they can't afford housing in their communities, and their public safety has been completely destroyed. It's a disgrace. And Donald Trump is right to call it out, and Kamala Harris, like so many other issues, she has no way to explain why she's going to be better as president than she has been as vice president. It's her policies that caused the problem. She should have to answer for that.
Senator, you're Catholic, and Trump has come out in support of IVF and making IVF free for all. And the Catholic Church teaches that IVF is immoral. And so I just wanted to know kind of where you stand on that, and if that's something that you support as well, or if that's more so just Trump.
Look, I think, first of all, Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party because he received millions of votes, and Donald Trump has been explicit that he wants to promote a culture where life is welcomed into this community, into our country. He supports fertility treatments. He wants to make them more accessible. He's been crystal clear on that. Now, that said, I think that it's ridiculous that Democrats are saying that Donald Trump wants to take your fertility treatments away, when in reality, Democrat policies have made it harder to afford children, made it harder to afford a home to put those children, made it harder to afford the groceries with which to feed those children. Their policies have been a nightmare, and so they're trying to scare Americans with promises and threats that Donald Trump is going to take away their fertility treatments, when in reality they're saying that because they don't have any solutions to the problems of America.
Mr. Vince!
I think he did a couple things really powerful tonight. One, he reminded Pennsylvanians that though Kamala Harris is running away from her record at every single step, she wants to ban fracking. Kamala Harris has been explicit about wanting to ban fracking, and she couldn't explain why she allegedly flip-flopped on a view that she held just a few years ago. If you ban fracking like Kamala Harris wants to do, it's going to immiserate and impoverish thousands of Pennsylvania citizens, and it's going to jack up energy prices, by the way, even higher than they've already gone up, because thanks to Kamala Harris's policies, we've got energy prices that are about 40% higher. They're going to go a lot higher when she puts a lot of Pennsylvania crackers out.
A lot of people, not only in the United States, but in Europe, have been watching this debate.
Yeah.
They want to know what will happen in Ukraine, what will happen in Israel. Did they get a fair answer? What do you think?
Well, I think what they got from Kamala Harris again is more platitudes. What's your actual plan? She actually was bragging that Joe Biden sent her to Ukraine to stop the war from happening, and then Donald Trump very smartly pointed out, well, you were sent there to prevent the war from happening, and then it happened 3 days after you left town. Clearly, there's some weak leadership there and some incompetence there. I think the real difference. Excuse me, sir. Could I answer the question? What Donald Trump has said very explicitly is that smart leadership and smart diplomacy will create a world at peace. It did when he was president, and I think that's his plan again. Now, to be clear, Ukraine and Russia, the whole situation is a disaster. What you need is smart diplomacy to get Europe and America and Ukraine and Russia out of that conflict and back on a footing of peace. Donald Trump's already had successful diplomacy. He's going to do it again when the American people elect him president in a few months. Sir.
But you not tell us how he's going to stop the war in Gaza after 40,000 casualties. I mean, of course, Biden administration and Vice President Harris did a horrible job. What is going to make a difference?
Well, look, I think what President Trump has said very specifically is, one, you need to give Israelis the precision-guided weapons so that you don't have a lot of unnecessary civilian casualties. Kamala Harris says that she wants to cut down on civilian casualties, but her foreign policy has actually led to a lot of Palestinian civilians being killed. It's also prolonged the war. It's also strengthened Hamas. It's like a lose-lose-lose foreign policy, but again, that's the incompetence of Kamala Harris. Ma'am.
Spreading false claims about them put their lives at risk?
Well, I don't think that no one has spread false claims. What they've said is that a small migrant community, 20,000, so it's big for the city of Springfield, but it's small compared to all Haitians in the United States of America, that small migrant community has caused a lot of problems. It's led to higher rates of communicable diseases. That's a verifiable fact. It's led to animals disappearing. Many of my constituents have said that has been happening. It's led to higher home prices. That is a verifiable fact. So this influx has led to a lot of poverty in Springfield. No. Let me finish. Let me finish the question. Excuse me. City officials have said that's not true. That's not actually accurate. What they've said is that there's no
evidence that immigrants are eating animals, and you have been saying, and Donald Trump just said on stage that they are eating animals.
Would you like me to answer the question, or would you like to keep interrupting me? Can you answer Can you ask the question and then let me answer it? The city manager said there's no verifiable evidence. A lot of residents on the ground have said that there is. That just means the city manager, I think, isn't fully in touch with what's going on the ground there. I've heard from many of my own constituents who have seen these things with their own eyes, who have seen these abductions with their own eyes, who have seen geese being taken out of local parks and slaughtered in front of their eyes. What do I think is a bigger problem? Insulting 20,000 people, or the fact that my constituents can't live a good life because Kamala Harris opened the border? I think it's Kamala Harris needs to do her job and make people happier and healthier in this country.
Last question, guys. Last question.
Has tonight cost him the election, sir?
Hey, guys, chill out, please. I'm going to answer this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. So my question for you is, do you think Donald Trump did a better job in this debate than he did in previous debates? And do you think he made a difference with undecided voters?
Well, his debate opponent, I will say one thing for her, she had a pulse unlike his opponent a few months ago, so I think that there was that big difference. But look, I think what we reveal here is that Kamala Harris is a candidate of platitudes. There's no substance. There's no ability for her to talk about how her record lowered grocery prices or housing prices, because her policy raised housing prices and raised grocery prices for Americans. So I think what we saw was Donald Trump. He was crisp, he was clear, he had a real vision for what to do to take this country forward. He also has a record that he's proud of, and the biggest difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is they both have records. Donald Trump's proud of his, Kamala Harris is ashamed of hers, and rightfully so.
Hi. Did you get him when I was like when it was right in front of me?
Great. Yeah, but watch the mic. It's way too, I don't know where it was. It's way too close. He's loud.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to, we're almost always going to be good.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's good. We got a lot of stuff in that last one. Who else we got?
And that was Let's check. Just see who else there is. Thank you. Vivek? Right here.
You go anywhere, I'm going to slide in that hole right there.
Okay.
I think Donald Trump comes out no weaker, no stronger from this debate. I'd say the same from Kamala Harris, no weaker, no stronger. What people expected going in, I think unfortunately that's what they got coming out because Kamala Harris was not pressed on a lot of those policy
I'm
decisions.
sorry if I missed this already, but have you responded to Taylor's just endorsing Harris just now?
Is that actual news?
Yeah, she just posted on Instagram.
Yeah, Kamala Harris.
I mean,
As
look,
a fellow millennial, do you have any response to that?
I think the reality is celebrity endorsements mean generally very little, and I do think that voters should think independently for themselves of who they want to vote for, and talented singers should remain talented singers rather than particularly weighing in heavily.
Are you disappointed?
Do you think that it's wise for the president to do a second debate?
I think that, look, I'm just going to speak as an American and not as a partisan here. I think more debate's good for the country. Now, what I would like to see in that next debate, though, is less moderator tilting of scales. And this isn't some sort of just usual cry about biased media. I'll draw a distinction between David Muir and Linsey Davis. I thought David Muir in particular did, I think, a poor job of exhibiting actually the same standards that he applied to Kamala Harris as he did Donald Trump in that debate. I think anybody who watched that, even though many of you may not admit it, would agree that that was not an even-handed treatment of the two candidates. I think more debate's good, and I do think that it's going to be important for voters to have some chance to understand what Kamala Harris's policy positions actually are. We have no idea why she changed on her health care plan from before to where she stands right now. A ban on offshore drilling. They talked a lot about fracking as a deflection. Bans on offshore drilling versus where they are right now. And I think it's a disservice to voters. And so for that reason, I'm sorry, in my opinion, I think another debate would be actually productive.
Do you think
This is the reality is they deflected from the fact that actually migrants, are they killing people in car accidents in this country? Absolutely. In Springfield, Ohio, where I've spent a lot of time growing up, not far from, you're talking about animals, I'm talking about people. And the reality is,
pets, which is what he said.
Was there actual Haitian immigrants who have been responsible for the deaths of, for example, an 11-year-old boy or other travesties? The reality is those are the issues that we didn't get to talk about because of, I think, some level of soft coordination that allowed for that debate to, I think, be a one-sided display that most voters are smart enough to see through. But I think more debates would be a positive.
Do you think that he moved in
I think that Donald Trump actually more than held his own with independents because he was able to do what many professional politicians don't. He answered authentically. There were many instances in which he raised questions.
You don't think he took the debate too much? Or took the bait too much? Some Republicans were texting me during the debate saying that he was taking the bait.
I think he came across as authentic. And Donald Trump, the thing I like about him is he came across, especially the independent voters who don't want a politician reading off the script. I think Donald Trump actually channeled that authenticity in this debate in a really good way. I think the fact that he even exposed some of the fissures that most people, uncomfortable truths that they know to be true but don't talk about, is even between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I think so. He did some things that were a little unconventional, but I think that's what makes Donald Trump such a compelling figure to many independents across the country, is that he doesn't follow that standard script. So in that area, I think he did actually succeed.
I think we're good. I think we're good. Kevin?
Just a minute ago.
Hey, let's see what's down there. Okay. Well, I think that was good.
Yeah, it was good. Who we got? We got Senator Murphy's not bad.
Oh, Newsom, Governor Newsom.
Oh, you see him?
Oh, yeah, maybe he's on a set. Okay.
It's probably worth waiting.
Yeah, agreed. Scare him. Who? Yeah. She said we need some Dems.
does.
Dan.
We all know he wants Russia to win the war. So the whole world saw tonight Donald Trump rooting for Russia to win the war. Why? Because Donald Trump wants to align himself with dictators and autocrats around the world who will pad his pockets, right, instead of protecting American interests. So if I'm an ally of the United States or an ally of Ukraine tonight, I know exactly what the consequences of Donald Trump winning this election are. He will give away Ukraine, and he'll do it before he's even elected. That's what he told us tonight. He said, "I want Russia to win the war, and I will give Ukraine to Russia before I am even sworn in." Right? That is a stunning show of weakness by someone applying to be the most powerful person in the world. What fate would it be to Poland, sir?
Do you think that Kamala Harris needs to do more spontaneous kinds of interactions with the public? Should she give more news conferences, do more town halls, do events that are less scripted than what we've seen so far?
Well, let's have another debate. I mean, that's the clear takeaway from tonight. Kamala Harris was nimble. She was good on her feet. She listened to Donald Trump's answers and responded to them in devastating ways. I think the clear takeaway from tonight is that we need another debate. We need to have Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on another stage, because every time that happens, the American people see a true contrast, just not only in the visions of the two candidates, but also in the demeanor of the two candidates. One of those candidates on stage, Kamala Harris, is ready to be president of the United States. The other candidate on that stage, Donald Trump, was a rambling, incoherent mess.
Trump campaign yesterday described...
You know, Scaramucci is anti-Trump, but do we want to give up?
Then get in there. They were entitled to fact-checking. He tells one lie on average every 90 minutes. They had to fact-check him, and they did. And so, of course, they're going to pile on and say that he was unhinged and unschooled. What else would you expect them to say? They've got to say something, and that's what sore losers said. And Trump is a sore loser, by the way. I want to be on record with that. Let me take this question. Let me take this question.
President Trump says that if Harris is elected, Israel will not exist within 2 years.
It's an absolutely absurd statement, okay? And I am a self-professed Zionist. I am someone who has supported Israel. I'm someone who viewed the IDF film. I've actually showed it to colleagues of mine and executives on Wall Street. It's an absurd thing for him to say that. He actually knows that that's not true, and he doesn't believe that. And whether the Republicans like it or not, the Biden administration follow their actions. They put 2 aircraft carriers in the region. They supplied the Israeli government and its army, the IDF, with arms. They just did another $21 billion arms deal with the Israelis. The Israelis are our strongest ally in the region. She made it very clear tonight, and she made it very clear in her speech at the Democratic Convention, that there's no daylight between the United States and the Israelis, okay? And I'm a friend of Israel, and I'm telling you right now, I would not be supporting Kamala Harris if she wasn't that strong on Israel. This administration has done more for Israel than any other administration I can think of, okay? And that's my honest assessment. Just go over the armaments. This gentleman here first. I'm sorry, he was here first, and I'll go. I'm going to get there, I promise.
Andrew, thank you. The readers of the Times of London.
Let's go to Cooper. Slide in there. You go over there.
With the bipartisan bill that had been put together, Donald Trump never explained why he destroyed it.
Governor, the Trump campaign said the other day that Kamala Harris has been bubble wrapped. She's been too protected on the campaign trail. She's not had enough spontaneous interactions with voters. They don't have a real sense of who she is. Should she do more press interviews? Should she do more town halls?
I think for an hour and a half, she was in front of the American people with difficult questions right across from Donald Trump. I think she showed her mettle. She showed she was very presidential. And I think anybody who watched that debate and who really is not all the way committed to Donald Trump would say she did an excellent job and showed that she could be a great president of the United States.
This has been a bit of a roller coaster of an election. A lot of highs and lows for Democrats. How would you describe the mood for Democrats after tonight?
I think Democrats are euphoric. Kamala Harris showed us the kind of person that she is. I think she showed the nation that she can be a strong president and that she can find us a new way forward. So I think we are very excited about that. The last few weeks, most of our volunteers have been first-time volunteers. So we know a lot of people who have not been engaged in the system are now engaged, and that's going to be a key to this election, I think, is to get disaffected people who have not been voting to the polls. I think they're going to vote for Kamala Harris.
More excited than 75 days ago?
Yeah.
What do you say to Americans who came into this and are still concerned about the economy and the inflation? How do you think that they're reacting tonight?
I think they saw a plan from Kamala Harris on addressing costs directly, costs at the grocery store, the child care tax credit for young parents, affordable housing. She wants to shift the tax burden here. We know what Donald Trump wants to do, more tax breaks for the very wealthy, more tax breaks for corporations. She wants those tax breaks to be with small businesses, with middle-class families. So people who are concerned about costs and the economy, she's the one with the plan. He doesn't have one except this Project 2025, and that's going to be a disaster.
Thank you, Governor. Let's check on Gavin.
We called a couple times, right?
Remember that guy? He
the Gold
bashed.
Star.
Yeah, you want to do that?
You can't ask him about Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask him about the debate.
General Kelly, whose son is buried in Section 60, Lieutenant Kelly, young Lieutenant Kelly, close to my son's grave. He says, what is in it for them? As if sacrifice and service means nothing to Donald Trump. In 2018, in France, commemorating the end of the First World War, he says, and this was publicly available on the media, that to me these are losers and suckers, meaning he has no respect for our military, no respect for the people who are serving, the people who are standing for our democracy, for our freedoms. So for those reasons, I will defend, I will stand with Kamala Harris, I will campaign for Kamala Harris, because there is no comparison.
Sure, just could you give us a general overview? What did you think of the debate? How did this go? Are you in the middle of an interview? I apologize.
We'll continue.
Yeah, could you just give us a general sense? What was your breakdown of the debate? You've been in this political sphere. Tell us.
Well, Kamala Harris was presidential. She was detailed. She had a plan that she wishes to implement, bring with her, and make this campaign for the future of the United States. Whereas Trump was defensive, disrespectful, vulgar in his comments about our current president, about Kamala Harris. Trump wants to take us back. Kamala Harris wants to take us forward. Kamala Harris is champion of democracy, champion of rule of law, and champion of families and women's right to equal dignity. So it is for that reason I feel, and many of us have felt, that Kamala Harris carried the day, and she is our future president.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And sorry to meet interrupt. Thank you very much. Kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah. Robert Kennedy. Está ahí.
Good night, brother.
Hey, I gotta ask you. Governor, did the debate move the needle at all tonight?
Well, I will be determined. I think we can overanalyze in the moment. I've learned enough, a little bit of, humility and grace as it relates to how these things are spun in the moment. But I don't think any truly. And I know we're in the spin room, and I recognize my own subjectivity. But any objective person watched that debate tonight, from the handshake and the fact she came over and she commanded the room, and she put Donald Trump on the defense throughout the entire night. I can't imagine it won't move the needle on those polls.
Is there a need for another debate?
Well, that's a question, Donald Trump. I'd love to see another debate. I hope to see another debate. If you're Donald Trump, you're running away from this debate. You're doing the grievance stuff. You're talking about how everything was somehow, rigged against you. It's a pity party. It's always about Trump. She kept looking in the camera, talking about the American people. She talked about you. She talked about the issues you care most about. She talked about affordability and housing. She talked about her plans to bring down the cost of raising a family and child care. All he talked about were his size of his crowds. He talked about dogs and eating. It was typical Trump derangement. And I'll tell you, it's becoming less and less interesting and more boring. I'll tell you, the Trump folks are going to have to reset in a pretty profound and consequential way if they're going to maintain any hope of pulling this thing out. This was a big night for the American people, for freedom, for democracy, for the rule of law, for justice, not just Kamala Harris.
And what about Taylor Swift's endorsement? What about
And then there was Taylor Swift's endorsement. And you know what? That matters. It matters. And you know what? I have, forgive me, some advice to Donald Trump. Don't disparage that endorsement at your own peril.
Are you a fan of Taylor?
At your own peril. At my own peril, I will say nothing but, are you kidding? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. Look, she is a cultural icon. Something big has happened in the world in terms of the energy and vibrancy she's associated with, the optimism she's associated with. That was a big deal as well. But even without that, this was an extraordinary night for the campaign and for the American people.
Thanks. Okay, we're good.
Debate was biased.
Yeah.
The guy had an iPhone in his face. I got all of it in, but
okay.
I wouldn't mind getting something.
Okay, I'll go back.
He agreed to and established before the debate. If that's the best you guys are going to do, it's going to be a tough night, week, and month. And you'll see that reflected in the grievance expressed by Trump. This night was a bad night. He knows it. He was so easily manipulated because he is so easy to manipulate. And he had one of the weakest performances I've seen of any presidential candidate in my lifetime.
Thank you. Did you get this stuff? Yeah. Okay. Who's that? Who is that? Who is it?
No.
Who is it?
Who is it? I didn't even see him.
Who is it? Is it?
You can't even see where he is.
I told you he'd come.
What about the moderators?
I thought it was a great time.
Mr. President.
No, I thought the moderators were very unfair, but it basically was 3-on-1. But I thought they were very unfair, the moderators. Everybody did. But despite that, they're saying that the debate was... Yeah, I assume the moderators would be bad. That right there is the worst of all the news networks, in my opinion. And it always has to. Yeah. Well, she wants a second debate because she lost tonight very badly. So they immediately called for a second debate because they lost. So we'll, think about that. But she immediately called for a second. Look, we're looking at polls. We're looking at polls. The worst poll that we've had was 71 that I see, 71% to like 24 or 25.
What poll is that?
President Trump, right ahead.
Mr. President.
Well, I thought she was not very good tonight. She didn't protect the vice president, the office of the vice president. Certainly, if you take a look at it, she was terrible with respect to the president. She's trying to get herself away from the fight, and she wasn't able to do that. I think it was a big thing. They wanted to disassociate with the fight, and they weren't able to.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Mr. President.
President Trump, I'm Yusef Salaam, one of the exonerated five. How you doing? I'm Yusef Salaam, one of the exonerated five.
President Trump, over here. Mr. President. Would you over here, Mr. President?
That's something very good. You have some cell phones. 92% 6. 67 and 80 in our direction. So I thought it was a great debate.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
What about black voters, Mr. President? What do you think black voters?
I love black voters. I love them, and they love me too.
Mr. President. Why did you say that people are eating dogs in Springfield?
Oh yeah, it's true. You take a look at it. No,
It's nonsense. The local authorities say it.
Well, you could check it out. Check with the authorities.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Do you want Ukraine to lose the war? I really don't know. I really don't know. I just say, all I do is say the truth. I say the truth. If I lose votes or gain votes, I don't care. But this was my best debate. I thought it was very good. I thought she was very weak on foreign policy. She was very weak on the border. And I'm very happy with it.
Mr. President, why are you and J.D. Vance not on the same page about an abortion ban?
They're actually fine times by the moderators. Kamala Harris
Everybody one step back. Everybody's got to step back. Everybody's got to step back. Step back, please. Everybody step back.
Step back. Step back. Everybody got to step back. Everybody got to step back.
We don't have a stance anymore. You're on the wrong side here.
Step back.
Step back. Step back. We got to close it off.
On the abortion ban. Right.
President, don't go!
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm hearing MS. Get me where I need to be.
Where does Garrett need to go now?
I got the second.
Because I'm like, I don't know how he's going to do if he gets sandwiched, and he actually did really well.
Chris, I'll talk to you.
Anything on Taylor Swift?
Oh, God, please.
I had to ask.
Wait, Beyonce's not right.
President, hey, when you concede the election, if you lose the vote, am I right? He's on the other side.
Okay, I'm coming back.
I don't need that. He knows my face for 4 years.
I gotta return your abortion tape.
You okay? She valiant effort. I told you he was gonna come. I told you.
They tried the girl with the bad.
What's that guy's name? Gates. I see Matt Gates.
Kamala Harris.
Are Haitians the only immigrants coming to America?
Well, President Biden was comatose, so that was a principal distinction. But I think in both circumstances, President Trump was able to sharpen his message on inflation, on the border, on crime, and on what we see going on in the world. I think President Trump was really strong on the foreign policy segment of this debate when he talked about Israel being invaded, Ukraine being invaded, our own country being invaded, and those things having not happened during his time in office.
Donald Trump said in an with education, so how are we going to ensure, if that happens, to standardize education and make sure the students' needs are met?
Well, I don't know that meeting students' needs always requires standardization. Frankly, I have a vision for education that aligns with President Trump's, where we have 50 different laboratories working on sound education policy, unlocking the potential of school choice. The Department of Education is a big old building in Washington, D.C. that educates no children, that creates a lot of paperwork for our teachers and for our administrators. And frankly, if we reduce that down to the smallest footprint and devolved a lot of that power to the states, then best practices would emerge and they would be copied, and we would see rising student achievement.
Sir,
Yeah, I love when liberals make our art and our music and conservatives make our law and our policy.
Congressman, what in tonight's message from Donald Trump to appeal to undecided voters?
Yeah, his message to undecided voters is that he will stop the high prices. He will stop the border invasion. He will stop World War III from breaking out all over the globe. And he will create a greater sense of safety in this country. People don't feel safe in a lot of our major cities, even in small towns right now. And I think he provided that path to change that a lot of the American people are looking for. You get more of the same with Harris. More of the failed Biden policies, more of the high prices, more of the border invasion.
Should President Trump debate again with Kamala Harris?
Well, the American people are frustrated and angry. Like, if you believe the vice president's theory of the case, everything is awesome. We should just continue Bidenomics. She's the one who says Bidenomics are working. The reality is President Trump is frustrated and he is angry because he sees our fellow Americans getting killed by migrant crime. He sees people unable to afford life and having to turn to credit cards with higher interest rates because of a massive national debt. And when you look at the tax and spend policies that Biden has embraced, that Harris has voted for, they have directly led to a lot of this suffering for our fellow Americans. I think it's something that we should be angry about.
Should you get a second debate in this race?
Yeah, we're excited about a second debate. President Trump is looking forward to putting out his vision anytime, any place, anywhere. And by the way, President Trump does interviews. He was just in the spin room with all of you. He goes out on the trail. He does long form interviews. Kamala Harris has been in bubble wrap. Since she's been the nominee, this was the first chance for that bubble wrap to be popped, and I think she was exposed for someone who's for higher prices, for an open border, and for the very policies that have caused chaos to erupt in Europe, in the Middle East, and even here in North America.
Okay, I think we're good.
I think migrant
because it just reinforces that she's part of the establishment. So when you have wealthy corporate journalists, they clearly siding with and trying to help the incumbent administration, it just reinforces that she's part of the swamp, part of the system, part of everything. So that optic actually plays very well for us. To me, the most important thing is that we see from all the polls what are the two issues that voters care the most about. And nobody disputes this, by the way. Immigration and the economy. All night long, President Trump kept going back to two issues, immigration and the economy. With the economy specifically with inflation. So if you're watching at home, what do you see all night? You see him talking about issues that you and your family care about. She's bringing up like Central Park 5, like real estate deals from the 70s, right? All kinds of obscure things that literally nobody cares about, no voters caring about. And President Trump is talking about the issues that Americans care about and care about deeply. So it's a categorical, huge win. In fact, she did worse, far worse, than any of the Democrat nominees that I can remember debating in recent memory because of how relentlessly focused she was on issues that, again, literally no voter cares about. And if, by the way, if you want to argue that voters care about Central Park 5, if you want to argue that's a big issue that voters care about, you obviously wouldn't, because clearly this is not the case.
Does voters worry about abortion, for example?
What? Sorry, what? Who are you with?
LTN24, Latin America News Station.
Yeah. Well, I want to mainly talk to voters in America tonight, but but President Trump did a great job talking about how her agenda is a disaster for Americans who care about inflation, who care about the border, who care about the cost of living, who care about public safety. And if you have viewers in the United States who are Latin American, he talked a lot about how the economy is a disaster for Latin Americans and how it's a disaster for African Americans. How he delivered a great economy for Hispanics. He delivered a great economy for African Americans. And of course, she's been a disaster for minorities in this country.
Can you tell us what you thought about Vice President, how she spoke about her record on the border?
So that's the thing, she didn't though, right? She didn't talk about her record on the border at all. She was constantly evasive the whole night. And when Americans are watching this at home, and they hear him bring up the border, and they see David Muir say, move on, don't talk about that, and they hear Kamala Harris try and change the subject and say, don't talk about that, they're saying, this is affecting my life, this is affecting my community, this is affecting my standard of living. Why are all these people so desperate to change the subject away from immigration and the border? Again, there are two issues that are going to decide this race, economy and immigration. What did President Trump talk about tonight? Economy and immigration.
And also the idea of deportation, mass deportation came up. What did you make of President Trump's statements? How do you think that will play?
I think it's a CBS poll. It was the CBS poll that showed 2/3 of Americans support mass deportation. I know at least some of you have seen that poll. You've seen it. 2/3 of Americans support mass deportation, including a majority of Latin Americans, Latino Americans, sorry, support mass deportation. And so this is a hugely popular issue, and the poll is even higher for mass deportation in swing states. Well, all I can say is President Trump, as you remember, proposed 3 debates, and she agreed to one of the 3, right? He proposed 3 debates, the first one being Fox, which of course she refused to do, the second one being ABC, I forget where the third one was with, but he proposed 3, so the next move is on Harris.
I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, I think we're wrapping up here. Let's see. We got it. We got Chip here at the very beginning, right?
You see him?
At the, yeah, he's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we look ahead to the vice presidential debate. It's been
No, I know. I she's got momentum and moving her back.
Just one last question, Governor. We heard a lot about a contrast with Trump. We did hear something new from the Vice President tonight. She said, I'm not Joe Biden. In what way is she not Joe Biden, outside of, physically not being Joe Biden? Because her policies largely are the same as Joe Biden. So why did she say that? What does she mean?
Everybody has a different approach to leadership, and she is clearly not Joe Biden, as you pointed out in your question. She's laying out her vision, she's laying out her plans, her demeanor, her approach to leadership. Every leader is different, and just because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris agree on an issue doesn't make her Joe Biden. It makes her Kamala Harris. And I thought she was a damn good Kamala Harris tonight, and she's going to be a damn good president.
Can you give us one area, though, where she's different?
Come over here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Was her answer satisfactory?
Yeah, listen, I'm an all of the above energy governor. I understand the critical role natural gas plays in job creation, in our economy, and also in helping us transition to cleaner sources of energy here in Pennsylvania. What I heard was the answer of an all of the above would-be president of the United States. She understands how important it is to Pennsylvania. I'm confident it'll continue on her watch.
Governor, one or two more on there. We get under his skin, Governor.
Hi.
Vice President had spoken
your
about.
thoughts, I know, on the Taylor Swift endorsement, how that will impact.
Big time. Come on. Listen, I'm still in my speak now era right now, and I got to tell you, her speaking out is a big darn deal. Why a missing zone? Berks County's own, Pennsylvania's own Taylor Swift
That's a huge endorsement.
Governor,
Huge.
do you think that you can deliver this state for Kamala Harris? We know it's a razor-thin margin.
I think Kamala Harris can deliver this state for Kamala Harris, and she's going to continue to do everything in her power to show up as much as she can. I'm confident she'll be here a lot. I know she's going to be in Pennsylvania. I think actually maybe literally every day this week, if come to think about it.
Was her answer about fracking sufficient?
As I said a moment ago, I'm an all of the above energy governor. I understand just how important natural gas is to jobs and the economy in our state. We're producing more energy than ever before here in Pennsylvania, and natural gas plays an important role in that. That strengthens our economy. It strengthens our national security. And what I heard from Kamala Harris is she wants to be an all of the above energy president, and I think that's really good news for Pennsylvania.
You're confident that she'll win
Yes.
Pennsylvania?
No. I thought you were asking about natural gas. Sorry. Ask me your question.
You're confident that she'll win Pennsylvania?
Listen, every election here in Pennsylvania is close. She has the wind at her back. She's moving in the right direction. She's showing up. She's letting the voters here kind of kick the tires and ask the questions. And I'd certainly rather be her than him right now.
Thank you, guys.
What
We got one more, and then we got to run.
What gaps do you think were left tonight still for Pennsylvania voters?
Look, I think she did a great job prosecuting the case against Donald Trump and laying out her vision here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and for the country. Thank you.
Emphasis on Israel.
I don't know. She has a plan. Is that him again?
Nie rób tam do jazdu.
Sorry. Hey, Kevin, there's Tulsi's to the left, facing Trump to the left. Tulsi is over here, basically alone. Kevin. Tulsi.
He hasn't done a single solo becoming the Democratic nominee, not a single one. And this is not offensive to Donald Trump. This is offensive to the American people who have the right to hear from someone who is asking them for their trust and their vote. And she's shining them on.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you very much. All right.
Sorry. I'm just going to get that around.
You got it.
Like he needed to.
Nobody else.
Just keep calling it.
Hey, I'm coming back to you. Trying.
Nice job, guys. Nice job, everyone.
are you?
Okay, I just want to have.
I'm in front of the Fox. Oh, Kevin, there you are. I'm in front of the Fox News.
All right. I mean, I think we might be. Yeah, let's. We've got Republicans.
Do you want to reach out and see if?
Yeah. So.
It's unbelievable. Is it? CBS or us? Nobody else got that.
I need to start. Yeah, I was going to say, at what point do I start writing? Yeah.
Look, one of the things that she has always said about him, and he believes about him, is that it's all about himself. I can talk to David or.
You asked the question.
Go over here. Over there. Over here. Over there.
Hey.
I'm Zach Sugar.
Oh, hey.